Welcome back to all the girls, gays, and days out there. I have really been feeling into romance, but specifically Regency romance. So I decided, why don't I read the Bridgerton books? Those are a highly popular set of books, and I do have like a special edition of it somewhere. They're the bind ups, so I have like 4 books, but in each book there's 2 books. And I figured, why not let's read these books? Let's see what these books are all about. Let's see what the hype is, because I know the Bridgerton TV series is one of Netflix's most popular shows out there. I have seen season 1, 2, and 3, but the thing you need to know about me is that I have the memory of a goldfish. I have a brain AVM and I get migraines. So my neurological disorders really are telling me short-term memory, you don't have it. If it's not critical to my day-to-day functioning, it's not staying up in this here noggin. Like, it just literally is not. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna read the first 4 books in this video, and I don't think that's too much to read in a video because I normally read like 3 to 4 books in a video. And then what we're going to switch and move on to is that we're going to react to me watching season 1, 2, and 3, because what I've learned recently, especially coming to New Year, is that people out there, they don't want to watch my book related content. They want to watch me react to videos like my Arcane season 2 reaction, one of the most popular videos on my channel. And then I recently did a reaction to the Welcome to Noxus cinematic from League of Legends, and that is also one of the most popular videos on my channel. So now knowing that y'all bitches out there don't want me to do any book content and you just want to watch me watch TV and react to that, I'm like, I'm gonna give it to you. Those are gonna come slowly trickling out at some point. So if you see a random video on my channel get posted on like our Friday, which is me watching a couple episodes of the Bridgerton series, now you know why. I will say that my hopes for these books are rock bottom, because I actually did read the first one, which is The Duke and I, last year. I think I gave it like 2 stars. Didn't enjoy it whatsoever. So here we are. Why don't we go ahead and get started? Let's do a reread of The Duke and I. And then the second one, I always forget it, but is it The Viscount Who Loved Me? And then the third one is An Offer from a Gentleman, which is following Benedict's story. And then the fourth one is Romancing Mr. Bridgerton, which is Penelope's story. And I feel like that would get us caught up with where the show is today. I know season 4 is not released quite yet at the time of this recording, but I know that they are working on it. So that makes me excited to read the book and like see if they have any like promo pictures out there or the actresses that they hired for this. So why don't we go ahead and get started with The Duke and I am halfway through reading The Duke and I by Julia Quinn for this concept vlog, and I have to say, this is not a good book. It's not a good book. And because I don't remember what happened in season 1, like this book could be like drastically different than in season 1 of Bridgerton. The way that Daphne is made to sound kind of like a cool girl, but Regency style, I'm just kind of like, I don't know if I entirely like that aspect of this book. Like, if I compare The Duke and I to the Duchess deal, it does not hold up. Like, it's not good. The other thing about Daphne is that she's apparently been out in society trying to find a husband for a couple seasons now, and the men haven't taken an interest in her because she has 3 older brothers that are intimidating the other men away. And then we have Simon, who is described to us as like a rake, a guy that doesn't really give a shit because of the way that he grew up. His father growing up treated him very poorly because that he stutters. I do really like the relationship between all of the Bridgerton children. They sound like they have like a really strong family. Like, even though that Daphne is a woman, his older brother Anthony, who is like in charge of the family because the dad has passed away, is kind of giving her significant leeway in terms of like finding a husband. Also, if you can hear that noise outside, please pretend you can't. These people are just mowing their lawn and they do not want to stop, and I really need to record this. I'm at the point in the book where Daphne has started to catch the feels for Simon, and that's very much reciprocated, but Simon is like stuck up in his head being like, I will never get married because I don't have kids, because I want to spite my father, because I want to end his family line. And Daphne is very much the woman that she's like, I need to get married, which, I mean, understandable. This is the Regency time and women don't really have that kind of agency that they do nowadays, but she's very much like, I want to have children. And if you know me, you know that I don't really care about children. I don't like children in real life. So to have to sit here and read a book about a woman that desperately wants to get married, I'm kind of like, don't know if I like that. But again, we're only halfway through into the book. It's a very easy read, very easy read. I'll update you guys once again when I have finished the book, because I have a feeling, because if there's anything that I remember about season 1 of Bridgerton, is that there was this one particular scene between Simon and Daphne that had me scratching my head. It had me going, I don't know if I like that. I really don't know if I like that at all. If that is in this book, I don't know about that. So we shall see, and I will check up with you guys once I am done reading this book. I have finished reading The Duke and I, and I have to say it's going to be a 2-star book, unfortunately. The first half of the book was fine, but the second half of the book, when they decided to get married, things they did not like so much. Once they got married, Simon very much kind of turned into an asshole. He kept telling Daphne, I own you, you're my property, you're my wife, you have to do what I say. And I just don't love that. And also with Daphne agreeing with him, being like, yes, I know that I'm your property and I belong to you, but blah, 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 blah. The other thing that bothered me with the second half of the book is that once Daphne and Simon agreed to get married, Daphne's mom, Mama Bridgerton, she sat Daphne down to give her the birds and the bees, but in reality, she really told her daughter basically nothing. And so Daphne entered into this marriage not knowing what her wifely duties were. I mean, Mama Bridgerton sat her down and she's like, I just need to let you know that your husband's he's gonna know what to do and you just need to go along with it. And she's like, but what is it? Give me the details. I want to know. And Mama Bridgerton is like, this is too sensitive for me to speak about. So Daphne really goes into this marriage thinking like she has to consummate the marriage, but like not knowing what that means. And I'm just like, Mama Bridgerton, you couldn't have given your daughter a little bit of a hint, go take that a little bit further and let her know what was going to be up? I mean, seriously. So Daphne just being very naive, knowing that this is how babies are made, but not exactly knowing exactly what's gonna go where during the consummation of her marriage. And this is definitely spoilers, but she didn't know that a man spilling their seed means that he has to, you know, inside you. So she's under the impression, because Simon told her I can't have kids, that he he biologically cannot have kids. But instead what he neglects to tell her is that he doesn't want to have kids because he wants to spite his father, his father being so mean to him growing up, and he just wants to stick it to his dad. But he says that he's in love with Daphne, and then Daphne also says that she's in love with him. So Daphne takes it upon herself to just completely stop talking to Simon. She's like, I'm not talking to this man anymore. She moves out of the bedroom, she gets her own bedroom, and Simon's like, why is my wife having her own bedroom? He's like, you are my wife, you're supposed to share your bed with me every single night. And she's like, actually, we'll not be doing that anymore. And so he gets so mad, he gets so upset that he decides to go out and get really drunk one night. And when he comes back, he's like, Daphne, I love you, please take me back, Daphne. And Daphne is trying to be so nice, for saying you're drunk, go to bed, we can talk about it tomorrow. But she does start to get a little bit too touchy-feely with Simon and realizes that he's aroused, and she is too, and they decide to have sex that night when he's clearly inebriated and not 100% fully able to consent. And as they're doing the things, she has a literal light bulb moment where she's like, what if I just get on top of him and we keep going and force him to finish inside of me, and then that way I'll get the baby that I so desperately want. And I feel like this is something that's very much glossed over in the book, that she R-worded him. And I think it's because it is a woman doing this and not a man that it's something that's very glossed over. But she R-worded her husband. And then she ends up running off to London, to her family's home out there, and all the brothers being like, oh my god, you abandoned Daphne, blah blah blah. I don't like the way that this was handled in order for her to get what she wanted, which was a child. Now that I'm talking about this out loud, I really am feeling like maybe this is a 1-star book. This plot device, or this plot line for her getting pregnant and to convince Simon that it's okay that he actually does want to have a family, just feels gross to me. That is strike one for the first book in the Bridgerton series. what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and start The Viscount Who Loved Me. Now, this is the one that I'm very, very curious about. My hot take is that season 2 of Bridgerton, the TV show, was not very good. So I'm wondering if the books will make me feel differently. If the books is, I don't want to say better, but if it makes me fall in love with the romance, like sell me the romance a little bit more than season 2 of Bridgerton. So I really, really want to love season 2 of Bridgerton as much as everybody else. So this is his time to redeem itself. So let's get started with that book, and I will check up with you guys once I'm halfway through it. I have finished The Viscount Who Loved Me. I was gonna update you guys a lot earlier, but this thing happened where I read it in one sitting. I really enjoyed this book. When I first watched season 2 of Bridgerton, that was quite some time ago. I think it was like maybe 3-4 years ago. I kind of just felt meh about it. Like, it wasn't my favorite. I was like, okay, whatever. And the whole reason for doing this series is because I want to change my mind on season 2, because I know not liking season 2 is a hot take, and given that I really, really like the Viscount in me, I'm like hoping it might change my mind on season 2, because in the book Anthony is described as the patriarch of the family, and there's some insight as to why he is the way he is, because apparently his father died at a very young age and he became the Viscount at a very young age and had to be responsible for the family, even though he was like a literal child and the mom could have handled that, you know, patriarchy. Let's not get into it. And in the beginning of this book, he decides it is time to finally take a wife, but he has zero intentions of finding a love match. He just wants to find a wife who would be like good for the family line, and that is where we bring in Kate and Edwina and Mary. So Edwina has been picked as the diamond of the season, which I do want to say in the previous book there was no mention of diamonds of the season. It just came up in book 2 and I was like, okay. And once Edwina is named as the diamond of the season, Anthony was like, I guess I'm gonna marry her because she's been claimed to be the best woman of the ton of marriageable age. And Kate desperately wants her sister to find a love match, and she wants her sister to have a decent husband who will love her and take care of her. And she overhears that Anthony is a rake, that he's not particularly loving or would be a good match for her sister. So Kate's like, not this man, not for my sister. What I really appreciated about this book is that it is a he fell first. Anthony definitely falls for Kate first, and Kate does come off as like a very strong woman, but we're given more of her backstory about how her father died, how her mother died, and more of like character building before she starts that romance with Anthony. And I just really, really, really love this book. I enjoyed it so much. It had a lot of depth between Anthony and Kate and their backstory of who they are, why they are that the way that they are. I just really enjoyed it. So what we're going to do next is that we're going to pick up the next book. I think it's Benedict's story. I know the way that the TV show had released it, they did Daphne, Anthony, and Colin, but the actual order of the books is Daphne, Anthony, Benedict, then Colin. So we're going to go in the order that the books were released. So we're going to do Benedict's story next. I don't know what that one is called. It's not Romancing Mr. Bridgerton. Let me just look that up real quick. An Offer from a Gentleman is what that is. So we're going to read that one next. I have heard that that one is good, so we'll see. I do need to come up on here and give an editing Lexi update. I know that that update that I just gave for the Viscount Who Loved Me was super, super quick. Also, I need to apologize because I do get the name of that book wrong during that update, but I feel like while I was giving that update I wasn't giving you much about like what the book was about, particularly because season 2 Bridgerton is the most popular season of the Bridgerton series, or what's out there right now. So I feel like I didn't need to say that much about it. I don't feel like I needed to elaborate. Sorry, that was so quick, but let's move on. Good morning. Good morning. I have finished An Offer from a Gentleman. It's 5 stars. It's 5 stars. It's 5 stars. Did I start this book at 8 o'clock last night and stay up until 2 a.m. reading this book? Yes, I did. I did. For all the girlies out there that can function off of very, very little sleep, y'all need to slap that on your resume, because that is a skill. I feel like I'm dying. Because as I woke up this morning, I realized I look like a mess, so I very tiredly fixed my hair and slapped some lip stain on my face and decided to give you this update. This book had me kicking my feet. It had me giggling. My face hurt from smiling so much because I absolutely love this book. I adored it. It is by far my favorite book out of the entire ones that I've read so far. I'm only on book 3, but out of the 3 books that I've read so far, loved it. I quite frankly feel like this book might end up on my top 10 favorites of 2025. Like, I liked it so much. I am barely functioning, so this update is going to be very chaotic and incoherent. But this book is following Benedict's story, and I had very low hopes going to this book because I wasn't really like loving the prior books. I think at this point my rating for the first book, The Duke and I, that's gonna be 1 star. And then my rating for the Viscountess, what's that second book called? Something at the Viscountess and Me, or so, I don't remember. But that one, I think I'm gonna give it 3 stars. I did really enjoy it, but now that I've had some time and some space and I've read the third book, that one's a 3 stars, but this one's definitely 5 stars. So I had some low hopes going into this one because of like my ratings for the prior 2, and because from what I remember, the Benedict character from the Netflix TV show was just very like forgettable to me. He seemed like a hot mess of what I remember of a guy. So my hopes were rock bottom in the earth's core. But as I was reading this book, it became clear to me that this is a Cinderella retelling, and I love me some Disney princesses. I'm not exactly a Disney adult. I've never been to Disney World or Disneyland, but I just love that this is a Cinderella retelling. But at the very beginning of the book, we are following Sophie, and she is the bastard child of an earl. At the very beginning of the book, we are told that Sophie's mother had passed away when she was a baby, and Sophie was dropped off on the earl's doorstep, and the earl was like, I'll take her in, but she'll be my ward. I will not legitimately like acknowledge her as like one of my child, because like, I'll take her in, I'll care for her. And then the earl gets married to the awful stepmother. Her name is Amaranta or something like that. And then she has 2 daughters, Rosamund and Posy. And Rosamund is a spoiled ass brat, but Posy, second stepdaughter, she is kind of nice to Sophie, but Amaranta treats Sophie like absolute shit. She makes Sophie a slave. She makes Sophie serve on the girls hand and foot, as well as Amaranta. And because the Duke had passed away and he had a will, he was like, you, my wife Amaranta, need to take care of Sophie until she turns 20. And if you take care of her, you'll get 6,000 pounds a year for you and your girls. But if you put her out on the streets, you only get 2,000 pounds. She's like, of course I'm going to take Sophie in because I want the extra money. So she takes Sophie in, but she treats her like shit. And then when Sophie, at the beginning of the book, she's 21, and she's like, I don't know why Amaranta hasn't kicked me out on the streets yet, but she's like, I'm going to do what I need to do so I don't live on the streets, because obviously I would be a penniless person because my dad left no money for me. But the Bridgertons are having a masquerade ball, and that's when Sophie's like, hi, I think I'm going to go. And the other like house servants like help her get her dress together, her shoes and all that stuff. So she goes to the ball and she meets Benedict Bridgerton. Because it's a masquerade ball, he doesn't see her face. And so because this is a masquerade ball, at midnight, the Bridgerton has it planned that at midnight they'll take off their masks and like reveal themselves. And so he's like, I can't do that. No one can know that I'm here because my stepmother and her daughters are here at this ball. And once the clock strikes midnight, she's like, I gotta go. So Sophie runs off, but Benedict does get her glove, which is engraved with her family's like crest, the Earl's crest. And it was like a third of the way into the book at this point when Benedict pays a little visit to Amaranta's household. And that's when Amaranta puts 2 and 2 together. And she's like, you were not supposed to be at that ball. And she kicks Sophie out on the streets. But because Sophie has like some skills working as a maid for Amaranta and the 2 daughters, she does get a job out in the country. And then that's when Benedict and her have a little like run-in with each other. Benedict saves her from getting essayed from some people. Benedict's like, oh, I could put you up at my mom's house to get you maid position there. But she's like very nervous because she doesn't want to go back to London because she doesn't want to come across Amaranta, because she's like, I'm poor, I'm destitute. But slowly but surely they fall in love, and oh my god, I just love it so much. It's so cute. Like, I have not stayed up all night reading a book in I don't know how long, and I have not felt the feels that I was feeling when I was reading this book in, again, I don't know how long. A romance has not made me feel like this in a very long time. I'm gonna put this book down because it is very heavy. I am very excited to see how Netflix is gonna adapt this, because you know what, there were a little bit of problematic things on Benedict's end, but I choose to not see it. I'm closing my eyes, I don't see it, and I pretend to be delusional. And I do think there are some things that they could improve on Benedict's end, but overall I'm like, Shonda Rhimes, don't change a thing. If Shonda Rhimes changes, you know, the essence of the story, I'm gonna be pissed. Shonda, when I catch you, it's gonna be on site, just so you know. And going into this book, I knew that Katie Leung, who does the voice for Caitlin in Arcane, was cast in season 4 of Bridgerton, but I didn't know who she was playing. So as I was reading the book, I was like, ooh, who's Miss Caitlin Leung playing? Let me find out. I looked her up and she's playing the evil stepmother. How dare you, Shonda, make my sweet cupcake, Katie Leung, aka Caitlin from Arcane, play an evil character on Bridgerton? That just feels wrong to me. I'm just so curious how they're gonna do this, especially because, like, is Cinderella in the public domain? Does Disney own the rights to that, or is that Hans Christian Andersen? Like, I'm confused. Like, how are they gonna adapt this knowing that they're gonna be like a Cinderella retelling? I don't know, somebody tell me out there. Copyright. I am even more excited for season 4 of Bridgerton, and now that I have read this book. I did look up that wasn't supposed to come out until like late 2025, maybe early 2026. We got a ways to go. We do have a ways to go. Also, I'm very excited to move on to Romancing Mr. Bridgerton, which is Penelope and Colin's story. However, Colin does do something in this book that had me going sir. But I do like Penelope a lot. Now that we've like seen her in the previous 3 books, I'm like, oh, Penelope, my sweet summer child, you're so cute, you're so adorable. I really feel for her. I don't want the best for her. But knowing what Colin does to her in this book, I'm like, why do you want that man, Penelope? Why do you want that man? I'm very nervous because I haven't heard good things about the 4th book, like, at all. Also, the other thing I need to state is that I am filming like 3 videos for my YouTube channel right now. Reading for my videos are not in like a linear fashion. Like, I don't read all of the books that I have to read for one video, and once I'm done with that, I move on to all the books I have to read for another video. I am reading like multiple books like at the same time. Like, my reading is just not linear like that, partly because I am very beholden to the library holes for the audiobooks. And so I'm working on another video right now where I read a book that I just really didn't like. I didn't really care for it. I don't want to use the word care for it, but like, I DNF'd it. I just found it to be very boring. And so after reading that book, I was starting to feel myself like fall into a reading slump. But then I saw my library hold for An Offer from a Gentleman was gonna like be up in 5 days. So I was like, I actually need to pick this up. So I forced myself to pick this book up and read it. And I'm so glad that I did that, because this book has gotten me out of the slump that I was feeling myself like trickle into because of the previous book that I just read. And so now I'm in a good place. I'm so happy, even though I'm so fucking tired. Anyway, let me go and start on to the 4th book, and I will check up with you guys hopefully when I'm halfway through. I feel like I keep meaning to update you when I'm like midway through, but then I just like read it in one sitting. But I'll make sure this time that I'll check up with you guys when I'm halfway through. Hi, editing Lexi here once again. I am sitting down to edit this video right now, and I realized that I was wearing the same magenta sweatshirt during my update for An Offer from a Gentleman that you're gonna see me wearing in my update for Romancing Mr. Bridgerton. I swear and I promise you that it has been weeks since I recorded those 2 clips. I have showered multiple times. That magenta sweatshirt has been the wash a couple of times. I do upkeep my cleanly habits very much, thank you. I just didn't notice that I was wearing the same thing in those 2 clips. Please just note that I shower frequently and I do my laundry frequently as well. I just didn't notice that I was wearing the same thing, but I just need you to know that I had showered in between the filming of those 2 clips. Okay, thank you. That's all I needed you to know. Bye. It's been a couple of weeks since I read, what was the previous book? An Offer from a Gentleman, which I absolutely love, gave it 5 stars. I still think that it is 5 stars. Also, we're testing out a new mic situation with the audio right now, so if it sounds bad, I'm really sorry. I'll try to fix it while I'm editing. And the other thing is that I recently got my hair cut, and it's up to right here. My hair was down to my butt. I think I chopped off maybe like 5 inches. It was a lot. It feels like a lot. And I just recently took a shower, so it's even shorter now, and my hair is curling up, but this is just the way that it's going to be, and this is how I'm going to give you this update. Also, the lighting is really, really bad because I have had a headache for a really long time, and so I just need to live in darkness right now. But what we're here to talk about is Romancing Mr. Bridgerton, which is the 4th book in the Bridgerton series, and I am about 70-ish% of the way through the book. Like, I literally only have that tiny little chunk left to read, and I do have to say that I'm not enjoying this book as much as I thought I would. Here's the thing, I absolutely love Penelope, and the first 3 books really did a lot to set up who Penelope was as a character and kind of set up how she fell in love with Colin, how she's kind of been lusting after him for a very, very long time. And now that I'm on this book, I get why the TV show did did Penelope's season before they did Benedict's season, because there is a time jump in Benedict's book that wouldn't make sense in the TV show. Like, they would have to be doing it in like a little bit of a reverse. So like, to say I get it, I get why they skipped Benedict's season, but we're talking about Colin and Penelope here. So this is definitely a She Fell First type of book, and I don't like She Fell First. In fact, I did a whole video, like a hot take video, a couple of weeks ago, where I said a bunch of things that should be left in 2024, and She Fell First is one of them, because I just think that that should be a crime. I don't want Penelope out here pining for this man. I want him to have fallen in love with her first. But to set the scene, there has been an even bigger time jump in between Benedict's book and Penelope's book, which I guess is fine for the TV show. So Penelope at the very beginning of the book is described as a little bit pudgy, a little overweight. She's got some body to her, and she's always been seen as someone, as like a wallflower, someone it's always in the back, is just kind of how she views herself. But in the beginning of the book, she apparently lost 2 stones, and I don't know what that means pounds wise, but she apparently lost a bit of weight. But now that she's lost the 2 stones, Colin is paying attention to her. So Colin never really blinked twice in her way, but now that she's lost the 2 stones, Colin's like, what's going on with Penelope? But Colin is 33 and Penelope is 28, and at 28, she's a spinster, because apparently most women make their debut in polite society at like 2021, and she is a spinster now, and she's like, I'm okay with being a spinster. There are things that I can do as a spinster-y lady that I cannot do as someone who has just debuted in polite society. And then we have Colin, who loves to travel, and he's just recently gotten back from a trip in Greece. And when Penelope sees him coming back, she's like, oh my god, he's so tan, he's so beautiful, I'm still so obsessed with him. Now I feel like the book didn't really get started until the midway point, because there was this one scene where everyone in the town is at the ball, and they're pretty much complaining how, you know, the season has been really boring. There's nothing really to do. There's no excitement. So Lady Danbury is like, I'm gonna offer £1,000 to anyone who can unmask Lady Whistledown. And everyone's like, oh my god, here's some drama. And for some reason, Colin is like, I think Lady Whistledown is Eloise, because Eloise and Penelope are like around the same age, and they're both like, we are spinsters, we love being spinsters, we're never gonna get married. And now I'm gonna go into spoilers, but if you've already watched season 3 of Bridgerton, then you know what's coming up. But there was this one like random point where Penelope asks Colin to kiss her. It felt really random, because she so far has been like, I love me being a spinster. So she asks Colin to kiss him, and Colin does. And then that apparently changes Colin's life, because he can't get the kiss out of his head. And Colin is now like, I think I really like Penelope. He really truly like does a 180 after like literally pretending that she doesn't exist, or not even acknowledging her existence. But now he's just like, I'm obsessed with Penelope. And so Colin really wants to talk to Penelope about his feelings. And so he goes over to Penelope's house, and she's not there, but he sees her getting into like a carriage, and he's like, that's kind of weird. So he tracks her down and follows her, and she's actually delivering a Lady Whistledown like pamphlet to be produced or distributed, and he is in absolutely shock and awe. He's like, oh my god, you are Lady Whistledown. He's also very jealous, because as Lady Whistledown, she's very successful in that endeavor, and he's like, I don't have anything to do, there's nothing that makes me special. He's just kind of getting basic whiny man. And Penelope's trying to explain to him, like, you are a man, like, you have options in life, like, I'm a woman, I'm a spinster, I have to figure out a way to survive in this society. Even before this happens, like, Penelope wrote like a little thing for Lady Whistledown saying like, people are trying to find me, so I'm just gonna like stop, I'm not gonna do this anymore. But at this ball or this party, Cressida Cowper, or she goes by a different last name, she's like, I'm Lady Whistledown. So she like lies the whole time saying that she's Lady Whistledown, and Penelope's like, I can't have that, people thinking that I'm Cressida Cowper. So she goes, and this is how like Colin catches her, because she's trying to deliver a pamphlet saying that like, hey, Cressida Cowper is not me. And Colin gets really upset, because he's like, I thought you were gonna give this up. And Penelope is trying to make this dumbass man understand that I am a woman. I don't have a lot of options in society. And I literally just got to the part where he asked her to marry her, but he's like, you need to give up being Lady Whistledown, which I don't know if this is a thing that I want her to do. I kind of want her to continue to be Lady Whistledown, because I like how strong Penelope is. Like, I love Penelope. I just wish that she had found a better man, because Colin is very much giving like, you're my wife, you're my property, kind of like how Simon was giving in the first book. I just cannot overlook that. that. I know that Benedict in his book didn't say some things that probably not okay, but I'm choosing to ignore it just because I really loved that book. So I don't know. At this point, this book is sitting at a 2 stars because, like I said, I love Penelope, but I hate Colin. I'm like, Penelope, if you want this rancid ass man, I love that for you. I just wish you would pick somebody else. Anyway, that's kind of where we're at with this book. I'm probably not going to finish today. I have some stuff for work that I need to do right now that I kind of procrastinated and didn't get done throughout the week. So we are going to attempt to get that done right now, despite me having kind of a small headache. So I will check up with you guys once I am done with this book. I hope my dog being in this clip won't be too distracting. Oh, she already wants to come down. We can put you down. Anyways, I finished Romancing Mr. Bridgerton last night. I think I'm gonna give it maybe 3 stars. I didn't absolutely hate it. I did absolutely hate Colin though. And also now that my hair is curled, I can definitely see how short it is. My hair was like down to here before. It's making me feel very uncomfortable. Anyway, the lighting is not gonna be great because there has been absolutely 0 days in the past week and a half where I have not been in pain. I've had so many migraines. Last night was the absolute worst. It's been a whole thing. But anyways, this book, 3 stars. I don't like Colin. Like Penelope, and maybe I should have been mentioning spoilers before, but Penelope is Lady Whistledown. Actually, if you don't know that at this point, shame on you, besties, because season 1 of Bridgerton has been out for a very, very long time. That's on you. But anyway, Penelope gives up being Lady Whistledown, and Colin is still being a jealous ass bitch, being like, well, I have nothing. You're successful. What do I have? I don't have anything. And he's just being a whiny, whiny little baby. Penelope is nothing but supportive of this man, yet he continues to be a whiny ass little bitch. And I just cannot get over it. She even like goes out of her way to help him get his journal or his writings published. Like she's honestly one of the besties. Also, one of the things that I shouldn't have done is that in all of these books there's like a second epilogue, and if you don't want to be spoiled for the rest of the series, I would not read the second epilogue. I accidentally did, and it gave a little bit of what was happening in Eloise's story, and I am not looking forward to Eloise's story, to be quite honest, because if it is going down the way that that second epilogue was written, I'm not gonna be here for it. I'm not gonna be here for Sir Philip or whatever his name is. I feel like I should have done this in the order that the seasons were being released, because then we could end this on a high note with Benedict's book and me being like, oh my god, I love it at 5 stars. But instead we're gonna sit here with this 3-star book that was just kind of meh. That's quite unfortunate. Anyways, now that we are done with the first 4 books in the Bridgerton series, why don't we swap to doing a reaction of the TV show? Because I have the memory of Goldfish, and because I get migraines, my memory just short storage. If it's not critical, it's not staying up here. So rewatching season 1, 2, and 3 is gonna be like watching it for the first time for me all over again, even though I've already seen them. I don't know if that's gonna be the next video that I put out, but it's gonna come some point in the future. And after we do the rewatch of seasons 1, 2, and 3, then I'll read books 4 through 8. I'm so sorry that we had to end this video on a bit of a downer, but I just want to leave you knowing that Benedict's book and his season is probably gonna be real good. So anyway, I will talk to you guys later. If you like this video, please give a like, please subscribe, and I will see you in another video next week. Bye.